I wanted to do anything.
We'll be in the room.
Okay. All right.
All right, I want to thank everybody for coming here today, especially people from out of town, the Elsons from Detroit, and of course the Zausmers from Florida. This is very important to me because each of the men and a lot of the women, I have some really important to me history that I want to share with you all. But David, I'll take that away for good. Before I start, I want to just make a few comments about being 80. I want you to know that no matter what anyone says to you, 80 is old. 80 is really old. They say that age is just a number, and that's right, but a fucking important number. The average life expectancy for someone born today, a man is 76 and a woman is 81. And so I know I'm old. And every muscle and tendon in my body seems to be connected to my larynx. Because every move, and I will tell you that being old is not the greatest. It is a forgotten demographic. The advertisers don't give a shit about you. The media don't give a shit about you. The movies don't give a shit about you. No one cares about old people. One example of this is, let's suppose you're 80 in reasonably good health and you want to buy a house, okay? You want to buy a house and you want to buy it in Florida because that's where people go at that age. And there's communities that really specialize with older 55 plus age people. And those homes are not, you can't use them. They're worthless for someone my age. First of all, they have these big, beautiful kitchens. We do not need large kitchens. What we need is a kitchenette and maybe a hot plate for heating up the leftovers that you brought home. And these homes have very, very large closets. I don't need a large closet. I wear the same shit every single day. In the old days, I would get a spot on my shirt. No brainer, you just take it to the cleaners. But now, I get a spot on my shirt. I do a careful analysis. Where is the spot? How noticeable is the spot? And even if it's in a place that's noticeable, how big is the spot? And I will tell you, the acceptable spot is getting larger and larger every month.
That's me, Judy.
This is Jackie Mason.
Also, the one thing that those homes don't have that they should have is much bigger medicine cabinets. As a matter of fact, they should have walk-in medicine cabinets. Actually, 2 medicine cabinets, one for him and one for her. I take so many pills every day that I get my full quota of water just taking pills. And traveling is a problem. They say you're supposed to take your pills with you when you travel, and so we put them in a case, and the case is so large it barely fits in the overhead compartment of the plane. Now I really want to do that's important to me is to talk about some things in the past, some memories I have, some insights, some vignettes, and I want to start, however, by remembering 2 people that aren't here anymore. Steve Schwartz, who died a couple of years ago from a very, very horrible and painful brain tumor. And I don't know that a lot of you know these people, this person, but Ralph Ehrenpreis, who was a friend of mine from, I met him at Stanford Law School. we became very, very, very close friends. And he passed away from just a crazy accident way before he should. And this guy, Ralph, had been in therapy more years than Woody Allen. And when he was going through a particularly difficult time, and I don't remember about what it was, it could have been his girlfriend, it could have been his wife, it could have been his ex-wife, it could have been his future wife, it could have been any one of those things. And he would tell me about it. And I asked him what his shrink thinks about that. And he said, I didn't tell him. I said, why not? He said, I didn't want to worry him. Okay, now to the guys that are present. Irwin and Judy Elson. I've been friends with Irwin and Judy since high school. Back in 1994, or maybe 1993, Judy fixed me up with Nancy. 83, I'm sorry.
He's old. Give him a
Twice.
break.
Yeah, I'm
She fixed him up 2 years in a row.
Yeah. And Nancy was and is beautiful, refined, and a sensible woman. Judy, what were you thinking? To say that my past was problematic is a vast understatement. Despite that, Nancy and I have been married 33 years.
Wow.
I'm extremely happy. She is the love of my life and my best friend.
Wow.
I got lucky, very lucky.
Said the love of his
And
life.
she's the most non-judgmental person that I've ever met, which she probably had to be. But she's really non-judgmental with her children. Whatever her kids want, she is supportive. And I find that a wonderful quality. So I'm trying to become less judgmental. But I find it very difficult because, you know, I have such good judgment. She has given me a family that I never had. 2 great kids, Matt and Julie, and 3 spectacular grandchildren. My life is perfect. Thank you, Nancy. Now to Irwin. Most of you know that Irwin I think the most he sings. That may be his favorite thing, either birds or singing, and he writes songs. Irwin, I don't know of anyone that has ever wrote a song about old people. So maybe you could write a song about us old people, and the title could be "I Hurt," and then it could start out like "I hurt when I'm not with you. I hurt when I'm with you. I hurt when I move. I just fucking hurt." You think you can work with that, Irwin? Sherwin Conway. Sherwin, we're good friends, and Sherwin, we used to hang out in Wyoming, Livernois and 7 Mile. He had his white bucks. He was a very cool kid. I liked Sherwin very much, and one weekend, I was sleeping over at his house, and his parents went out, and we decided. We were 15. I thought it was 15 or 14. We did not have a license, and the parents go out, and I don't know. One of us decided maybe it would be fun to take the car, and so we decided to take Max Conway's Hudson. We stepped down in this Hudson, and we looked so little that we decided to wear Max's hat. We each had a hat. You would see just a hat going down the street. And we didn't go on one busy street. In fact, we didn't cross a busy street unless there was a light. Now, I'm assuming we went to see some girls. I don't remember that. All I remember, when we got back, Conway's parents were home.
In the driveway.
Now, Sherwin's mother and she looked at Sherwin and she said, "Sherwin, whatever possessed you to do such a thing?" Then she looked at me and she said, "I know who." And she had Max drive me home at midnight. I don't know what time.
He told you you were on a bicycle. He says, drive your bike home.
Nobody drove me home. He drove me home. He did that. Yeah, it was very nice of Max. Although I had a lot of explaining to do to my parents why I was coming home at 12 o'clock.
You always were explaining.
Then there's Walter the Shell. Walter, I'm going to skip your grandma, unless you act up. But I'm going to talk about Camp Michigama. And Walter and I were at Camp Michigama. And, you know, when you go to camp, everyone has to have name tabs on their clothes. And my mother, bless her heart, ran out of my name tags. So she thought it was a good idea, just rather than get more name tags with my name on it, just put my sister's name tag, Cookie Solomon. Walter saw that, and for the rest of the fucking summer, I was Cookie Solomon. This next thing with Walter, I'm not sure this is true. I want you to tell me. Did we ever steal a couch from some girl's house that I took you over to? Okay. I didn't think it was. I wasn't sure. I thought I did, but I wasn't sure because I can't believe that I was so dumb. This was a girl that I was sort of interested in, and we wanted to go drive over there to her house, and we drove over to her house, and she went in the back room or something, and we stole her couch out of the living room and took it down the block. I just don't know now. No, that was the dumb waiter you were.
I think that was my cousin. Who is that crazy now?
We were cousin who?
I think it was Ellen Gray.
No, I can't.
Ellen Gray? No, he's not Susie Castle.
Well, Susie, you were on the dumb elevator.
Yeah, that was
They
the
had a
dumb.
dumb elevator. Someone got into it, took it downstairs.
Are you done?
Who was you?
The Lapins. I've been friends with Connie since high school, and I've been friends with Harvey for since he's got out of dental school. In high school, senior year of high school, Jay Hamburg and I were going to go listen to some jazz at a pizza place in Dearborn. And I said to Jay, I said, maybe Connie would like to come. So we go over to Connie's house, and I think it's raining out too. It's raining. And we go up to the side window, and I bang on the side. I say, Connie. And the window opens. It's Carol. Carol says, the next window over. So we go over. So I go over to knock on the window for Connie, and I feel something on my back. And I say to Jay, what are you doing? And I turn around. It's the police. And I'm full of mud, and I told him, we know it's Connie, we're friends, and he said, okay, we're going to take you in the house. So he takes us into the house, and he puts us in the living room. Connie says she knows me. Vaguely. And this cop goes into the back to wake up Lillian. No, wake up his mom. Lillian prohibited me from seeing her for life. And I wasn't sure whether it was her life or my life, and it was a long time. Harvey and Connie, we spent a lot of weekends on Saturdays going to the theater. We'd meet you there and go out for early dinners. And we've always had a great time. And Connie's father, Herman, I got to tell you, nobody ever had a father like Herman. Herman was the greatest. He smoked pot before anyone knew what pot was. He did get arrested? Well, that didn't stop him. He was the great, and he was a great bridge player. He played with Omar Sharif, correct? And Harvey was my dentist for 40 years, and when I would go back to Harvey, even though we had to go through freeway after freeway to get him, and I didn't drive, Nancy did, and she would complain, but I would always go back to Harvey, and every dentist that we saw, periodontist in LA, or every dentist in Florida, they all complimented your work. You were the greatest, and some of your work is still here. Well, it's 40 years ago.
Another one of your patients is on.
Schubiner. I think I met David in '52 at Camp Michigama. And we used to get up at... I didn't know you from Charzette. What? Okay. Well, if
he didn't ride the bus like us, he was the other.
Right.
Sit next to her.
Leslie. Anyway,
Get the bus at him.
I got to know David at Camp Michigama. And every morning, 5 in the morning, 5:30, maybe as late as 6, we'd go out and play tennis before everybody got up. And we were best friends. And he slept at my house many, many, many weekends. And we would play ping pong till like 3 in the morning. And David, Walter, and I had this problem at Camp Michigama. Camp Michigama had just created a women's camp, girls camp. And we decided we would like to go up and visit the girls camp one night. And we had to decide whether we wanted to go by land or sea. We decided to go by sea. We each took a canoe, 3 canoes, and we canoed over to the girls' camp. And what happened was, we get in there, somehow there was a snitch. Someone got a hold of this. All the men's counselors and Herman Fishman were up there looking, and they took away our oars. They took away our oars, and they wanted to catch us in the woods and really give it to us. Somehow we escaped, and we're back at camp. And they're out there looking for us, Finally, they come back. Herman Fishman looks at us and says, "Steve, David, Walter, come on outside." Go outside, and he says, sit on this bench. And I'm on the left, David's in the center, Walter's at the right. And Herman said to me, he said, "Steve," he always asked me this shit, why did you do this?" And I said, "I don't know." And Herman whacked me and almost knocked me completely off the bench. Then he said to David, "David, why did you do this?" David said, "I don't know." And then he hauls up and he whacks David. But David knew it was coming and he rolled with a punch, so it wasn't as bad. Then he looks at Walter and he says to Walter, "Why did you do this?" Walter says, "I don't know." And he gets up and he looks at Walter, so small, so little, he didn't touch him.
That's not fair.
I was 4'10".
Walter probably said,
Walter, he took it for us. There's a friend.
Now, whenever David was planning a questionable activity, and there were a lot of them, he wanted to use my house for the activity. And even when I had hepatitis, I'm sick at home with hepatitis, David calls and he tries to talk me into, he says, you want us to come over for a gangbang? And I said, okay. And so, and the cars are lined up down the street, you know, the cars are lined up down the street, and we're there, everybody's in the house, and my father comes driving down the street. Ronnie Chaikin, and he's no longer with God, God bless him, he's no longer with us, yelled, Solomon's parents are home, are coming. Every light in the house went off at the same time. So we're going from every light on to every light off. And my dad, he told me, he said to my mother, Millie, you take the front door, I'll take the back door. And then I don't know what's going on, but there's a big ruckus down there, and Walter, he was undoing the screen to the window, and he's trying to throw this girl out the window, and this girl was saying, "It's a new dress." But Walter throws this girl out the window, and the neighbors are watching, and my mother always used to say, everything I did wrong, what will the neighbors think? What will the neighbors think? This was the greatest. The neighbors are watching this girl get thrown out the window. Mort Rosenfeld. I met Mort, I hope I got this date right, in 1980. No, that's not right. It's 968, 70,
It's like 75.
65, 75,
75.
75 or, yeah, 75. I joined a law firm downtown, Agnew Miller in Carlson. And Mort was a young partner at the time. And
No, I wasn't a partner.
you weren't?
I told you he was.
78.
It was 3 years you were there when you weren't. I was there with you, and you weren't a partner. Why did I take such a liking to you? Mort used to get riled up over so many things. We were good for finding legal. If you had a legal situation, and they had a solution. We had a problem. We had a problem for everything anyone wanted to do. A problem. We were the best problem not solvers. We noticed them. And Mort denies it, but I am telling you, Mort, we were known as the gloom and doom boys. And even if that isn't true, Mort cannot deny that he goes on extensive tirades. It's a very dangerous question when you talk to Mort to say, how's everything? If something's wrong with his house, it goes on for a half an hour. Everything is, and you hear every little thing, and everything is, and whenever Maggie's around, she just laughs it off. But Mort, I love you.
It's good you didn't talk to him today, Steve. He had a bad day.
You had a bad day? What happened?
After you're done, you'll tell me.
Steve Wolf. I met him, God knows when now.
83.
I got that, 83. It's an entertainment law firm of Silverberg, Rosen, Leon, and Bear. I came in as a tax partner. I know he was an associate at that time. He was a young kid. He was 18 years younger than me. I took immediate liking to this guy. And Nancy and I became great friends with Lauren and Steve, and we've been friends for years and years and years. We spent many New Year's Eves going to an early fine dinner and coming back to my house and watching a great movie. And we don't see you guys enough. But when we do, like we're going to see you again, we can talk for hours. I love you guys. However, Steve, I told Steve one day that I was going to buy a new TV. And it was those days, it wasn't a large screen TV, but it was large, and they had the big, it was a big heavy thing. And he convinced me to buy one from his father, who seemed to have many TVs at that time, even though that wasn't his business.
They fell off the truck somewhere.
Now,
You bought 2 from him.
okay, I bought 2 from him. Now, not at that time, I want you to know that money was never an object to me. I didn't have much, but it was never an object. So me doing this was very unusual. And Steve and his son come over with this TV, and we have to carry it upstairs.
3 floors.
How many?
3 floors.
Well, yeah, but there's the little steps, and you know, and there's a big heavy TV, and one of us in the front, one in the back. We take 2 steps, oh, down. TV goes down, up, down, down. And his kid, who's with us, never offered to help.
No, he wasn't.
He was old enough to refer to us as Dumb and Dumber.
He watched them go up the stairs. He said, "There's Dumb and Dumber." Anytime this little kid's
Now,
doing
Lauren, who I love, I think I was telling her, and I must have been in my 50s, that I was going to buy a Corvette. And she said to me, "You can't buy a Corvette. You're too old." Where's Bill Zausman? He's got a Corvette. How old are you?
79.
Yes, 79. And this is your second Corvette? Second Corvette. And I got to tell you, also, there are many, many people, Lauren, in Boca Raton that have Corvettes. However, their attendants do need to put them in and take them out. Bill Zausmer. I met Bill and Ann, I hope it was 2008, when they moved to Florida. And he thinks he's not hard of hearing. But I've never, his response to everything I say is, "What's that?" or "I can't hear you." And he knows that I have a collection of glasses. And that's really my thing with all these glasses. Bill has 1 pair of glasses. That's it, I want to show you. They are very, very nice glasses. Not too different from this pair, but very nice. I've got 20 or 21 of these, he's got 1. Now with him, if someone compliments him on his glasses, he is so thrilled and laughs and laughs. And someone compliments me, he says, "What about mine?" As I said, he drives a Corvette. Not the best driver I ever met. We were very happy when he stopped driving at night. He recently asked me a question. Really, I just don't. He asked me if my speedometer works in reverse. Now, why would I give a shit? And why would you want to go in reverse and see how fast you were going? I mean, and I just didn't get that. And does it go negative? Does it go, they're going -5? I didn't know what that was all about. You could explain that to me later, Bill. Anyway, they've been great friends to us. They are our best friends in Florida, and we love them very much.
Remember, Judy picked you up.
That's right, it was the Elsons that fixed that, that was his
That's
Wow.
It's really a guardian.
so.
Yes, that's exactly
this.
right.
That about wraps it up.
For Irwin.
That about wraps it up for tonight.
Well, I have something there.
No, I'm not
What
kidding.
is it?
Well, you're not done. Castleman. Castleman. I saved you to last because there's so much to talk about. I don't know where to start.
Look at those glasses.
That's one place.
Nancy took them out.
Miami Beach, Florida.
You know, I told Bill and Ann that Castleman was so fucking funny. He's so funny. And then we went to Art Basel this year with the Castleman and the Zausberg. And after a few hours, Zausberg comes over and he says, he's not funny. And I said, he's not a joke teller. This is situational comedy. He gets himself in a situation, and it's hilarious what he does to get out of it. So I want to talk about a few of those situations. I was in Herman Kiefer Hospital for, I think, 9 months. And Don was the only person that didn't visit me in the hospital. Don would take no chances at all on anything bad happening there. But when I got out of the hospital and I talked to him, and I said, Don, I lost 40 pounds, and I'm going to get rid of some of my clothes. I just, Don says, maybe I'll buy some. I immediately called Marty Golden, who worked at Hughes Hatcher's in a clothing store, and told them to come right over with a measuring tape, and you be the tailor, Marty. Marty came over, and he had a tape measure over his shoulders, and he acted as a tailor, and I started selling Castleman sweaters. And he liked the sweaters.
They were your father's.
No, they weren't. They were mine. They were mine. They were my, shut up. They were my sweaters. Then I started to say, well, shut up. Hey, then I decided to try to sell them my pants. Well, I lost 40 pounds, and Castleman would have put on these pants, and Marty would grab these pants from behind and say, these aren't bad. Castleman bought all the pants. Now, at that point, I thought we had such a great retail situation going that I didn't want it to end. So I went into my father's closet and I brought out some clothes. And Castleman bought some of my father's clothes. I never allowed Castleman in my house again. But you know, to be fair to Don, that was over 40 years ago. And people change, or you would hope. In any event, I was recently on a cruise. We were on a cruise with the Castlemans to Cuba. And we were told by everybody, whatever you do, we wanted to buy cigars. We were really into cigars. And they said, whatever you do, don't buy any cigars from anyone on the street. There's only a couple of places that are approved by the government, and those are the real ones. So I told, so Castleman knew this, and I went the first day I was with Nancy, and this guy comes up to me, he said, got great deal for these cigars. I said, no, and I said, I'm going upstairs here, these are where they are. I went upstairs, and I bought myself some cigars, and the next day, I'm with Don, and I'm taking him to where the cigars are, and this guy shows up again. And he says, I got some great cigars. And we say, no. And he looks at me, he says, this guy paid X amount of dollars, I can get you these so many dollars cheaper. Castleman says, no. This guy says, let me bring them to you. So Castleman says, okay. And this guy comes out with all of these cigars. And Castleman says, I'll give you something. Or the guy said, this is what they are. Castleman said, no. Then the guy made an adjustment on the price. It was just too good of a deal for Don to refuse. So Don bought those cigars.
Still smoking them. Good wonder.
Don really likes to make a dollar. He likes to make a dollar. We were at a LA Ram playoff game, and it was at the Coliseum, and you park in this parking thing, and we get there. We didn't have tickets, and we get there about 3 hours ahead of time, and guy comes up to us. I got these tickets for sale. What's the price? Castleman said, okay, so you know this is a deal. And so we bought the tickets. Then, 10 minutes later, a guy comes up and says to Castleman, I'll buy these tickets from you, and I'll pay you more than you paid. And I think it was $5 or $10 more. Castleman says, take it, we can always get, we can get other ones. So I'm a moron, I say, okay, we have no tickets, it's 2 hours before the game. We couldn't get any tickets to the game, none. And you can't leave because the parking is one behind one of, and we're outside walking around the Coliseum. We hear cheers, we didn't know what was going on, but we missed the game. But Don is also, we were in Palm Beach with Don and Ellen about a number of years ago, and we passed a watch store. I went in, and there was this watch in the watch store that I really, it was a pre-owned, it was a used watch, okay? And I'm not a good negotiator. So I decided what I'd do was I would say to this guy, I'm not allowed to buy anything unless my financial advisor approves it. And here's Castleman in cargo shorts. He looked more like my gardener. But I'll tell you, he got me a great deal on that watch, and I'm wearing it here today, Don. I love that watch.
You got it on tonight?
Yeah.
I got it on
Wearing
tonight.
it tonight?
I got it on tonight. Then there was another situation with Don. He didn't remember it, but he couldn't deny it. So if you say I don't remember, but I don't deny it, it's very short. He got a job, and it must have been commission job, trying to get people to get their house painted. And his line was, he would go up to a house, and he would knock on the door. The woman would answer, and he would say, I noticed your house looked pretty shabby. That was Castleman's line. And Castleman also had this business. There was a newspaper strike in Detroit. I was working at downtown. Don came downtown, and he decided he was going to go to Windsor, buy newspapers, and sell them, which was a good idea because there was a newspaper strike. What he failed to tell people, that it wasn't that good of a deal. The profit margin wasn't that good on reselling today's papers. It was much better selling yesterday's paper. Castleman sold everybody yesterday's paper. Now this is something that most people don't know of. Netflix and Amazon are in bidding today for a series currently called the Castleman Stories. And Castleman also, and I don't know if you want anyone to know this, he received a high six-figure advance writing a book called The Art of the Too Good to Be True Deal. I want to thank you all. I love you all, and I hope you enjoy this evening.
Steve, in that bag is something that I'm returning to you. You left it
Open
at
it
our
up.
apartment
Open
many,
it up.
many years
Oh,
ago.
yes.
Open
Do you
that
know
bag.
what it is?
Right
Right there.
on the table, honey. On the table.
Right there.
Table.
Okay.
The one right there.
This is very
This?
interesting.
It belongs to you. I have kept it in.
I didn't want this. I purposely let that.
All these years, I have kept this from you because you stated you had gone
Open
through
it
three
up.
wives.
Open it up.
I'm going to open it up.
You went through three wives, and you kept all your crystal. So when you left one glass at my house, I was deciding that they would be doing with that one.
What did I do? What did I do? This is the crystal.
You were able to keep the crystal.
I kept it all these years,
Why
because
would
I
I-
was so angry at you for bragging that you kept it through 3 wives.
So that's the glass.
That's your
the
glass.
Thank you very much for returning. I noticed that it was missing.
So I returned it to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. I hope you all enjoy your meal.
Good job, Steve.
Thanks.
Great job.
Do you remember that David and I got you kicked out of Herman Kiefer Hospital?
You came
All right,
wearing,
yeah, let's tell the real
Here,
story.
you can tell that story.
you came wearing you're a hospital coach.
No, no,
He was in the TV, he
In
was
the
in the
TV
TV
show?
saying we came to visit him, we caused so much trouble, they made him leave.
no, that was, I got in trouble. That isn't what happened. What happened, why I had to leave, and I'll tell you this story, is there was, in another room was like a little ward, and there were 3 beautiful black women in that ward. And I would get up and go into that ward, and there was a telephone. And the telephone was locked, but if you push the button down, like if you wanted 7, bum, 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 you could dial the number. And so I did that and called a bunch of people. And the next day, they found out about it, and they accused me of having sex with these girls. And it wasn't true, but it was such a great story, I tried to deny it. They threw me out. Thank you. Thank you.